Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fawn Pod. It's friends occasionally not disagreeing. Uh, I am here. I'm Brett. I always do that when I host. I just go
I
with
am
it.
here.
I am here. You don't know who I am, but I happen to be Brett tonight. And I'm here with Justin to talk about some new video game release. But before we get into that, what you been up to lately, Justin?
Well, a couple of nights ago, I went to the first concert I've been to in a very, very long time. I'm probably decades, in all honesty. Um, a little band called I don't know how, but they found me. They
Hmm.
were, yeah, I happened to catch wind that they were having a concert, a free concert at the local university, and so I went, got tickets, a ticket, I should say, since I just went by myself. Um, and it was a little awkward seeing as it was a a concert on a college campus, and I'm standing there around a bunch of like 18 to 20 somethings old enough to be their dad, and but eventually the music started, and it was a good time. Incredibly loud because it was not the biggest venue, so yeah, they still had everything cranked up to
Yeah,
normal levels in a smaller space, and I can still hear you just fine. So I mean, no lasting damage done.
that's good.
Yeah. Other than that, I've been playing where I can. A few more matches in the game we're about to talk about today, just to get more full experience, as well as sinking a bit of extra time into another game that actually might be a dark horse contender on my end of the year games of the year list.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't want to say a whole lot about that one yet because, well, actually, screw it. A Chaos Zero Nightmare. I think it was number 8 on my most anticipated games list when we kicked off the year. It is essentially it is a gotcha game, but it is like a free version of like if Slay the Spire and Darkest Dungeon had a baby, and the baby was a cosmic horror from space. Uh, But I mean, it takes a lot of the good parts of both of those games, squishes them together, and doesn't charge you anything for it unless you want to pay for like more energy or whatever, so you can do more stuff during the course of a day. But yeah, it's a free version of some already very good properties, just with its own spin on it, and I've really been enjoying my time with that one. So yeah, that's been kind of the long and short of it for me this past week. What about you?
Yeah. Well, today I found myself doing something I really didn't want to do and wasn't planning on doing. So I've built two PCs in the last 5 years or so. And I've had the first actual part failure happen. So
Ooh,
thankfully it wasn't something seriously debilitating. And it was on my secondary PC, which is primarily there just for my kids to play games on, and so they can each have something to play and not argue over it. Uh, and
okay.
but it was not starting up properly, and what I ended up determining after looking at it a bit is that I think the SSD failed, just
Ooh,
bricked itself overnight.
oh damn.
Um, which is the drive that I had Windows installed on, and so it
Oh,
it couldn't, like, it wouldn't, it kept like loading up into the BIOS, and then like I couldn't.
oh,
So what I ended up doing was I had to put a new SSD in, and I didn't have to. I had one in there I could have installed Windows on, but I was like, I like having a second drive for Windows basically.
Mhm.
So I reinstalled Windows, got all the stuff back into it that was on it, which wasn't much. It was basically just like Steam and Epic Games and like game launchers and things like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was not real fun. Pretty stressful today, but uh and other things I've been doing, because I haven't been on here on the pod in a lot lately because of situations and things, but uh I have kind of sneakily been playing my way through Tears of the Kingdom. Uh
Ooh.
because we discovered that my wife actually enjoyed watching me play it. And so instead of like watching shows and stuff in the evenings, basically she's been watching me play that on the Switch. And
Nice.
So I actually beat it a few nights ago. And I won't go into depth on it, but what I will say is that when it released and got Game of the Year, I was pretty skeptical from the little bit of a little bit of that I'd seen of it. I was like, I don't understand how that got Game of the Year.
Mhm.
Having played it and played a significant amount of it, because I went out and kind of tried to do as much as I could, I understand why I got Game of the Year.
Hmm.
I wouldn't say it's perfect. It has some flaws, but very enjoyable, and I understand now why it was Game of the Year. So,
Huh.
but yeah, that's been the majority of what I've been up to. So we'll get into our main discussion here, and this is on a new game release called Arc Raiders. And I think the first thing I'll ask here is, was this a game that you had on your radar? Because um, I personally, I think I had heard of it, but I clearly didn't know anything about it. Because when it came out, I was like, well, what is this?
Mhm.
You know?
Similar, yeah. It may have come across my attention, before it came out, but I probably saw um, online PvPvE and immediately just stopped paying attention because
Mm.
those usually aren't my sorts of things. But then it came out, which at this point was only what 3, 4 weeks ago at this as we're
Yep.
recording this.
October
Um,
30th.
Okay, yeah. And all of a sudden, it was just everywhere on my feed, like just clips from it and people talking about it, and like game pages that I follow, saying that is this a game of the year contender kind of a thing. And so I go and I look at the reviews on Steam, and it's like overwhelmingly positive. And like, okay, that's something to look at. And then just I dug into YouTube a bit and listened to a few reviews and watched a few clips of memorable moments people had run into, and I'm like, this actually looks like a lot of fun. So I think I actually tossed out the question to the podcast chat we've got going on, saying, "Hey, has anyone else heard of this? Is anyone else playing it? Because it's all of a sudden it's everywhere, and it might be worth talking about."
Mhm.
And yeah, you chimed in, and here we are.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of I say it took me by surprise in that I don't remember, like, it wasn't on my list, even though I've been intrigued with the idea of extraction shooters for a long time. I've seen a fair amount of Escape from Tarkov, which is I would say like the apex of extraction shooters. Like that's like what everybody kind of, and there aren't a lot of these out there. So
Hmm.
like Apex, not Apex. See what Apex Legends is a game that I was thinking of.
Hmm.
No, Escape from Tarkov is like right up there at the top. Like that's what everybody kind of compares these things to. Um, but yeah, I was when I saw some gameplay from this, I very quickly kind of enjoyed what I was seeing, and like I was, it kind of had some of the same vibes that I've seen from Tarkov, but it looked just much more fun, just as a general way to put it. Um, so what Arc Raiders is, and I'll just read right off their description off their page here. Arc Raiders is a multiplayer extraction adventure set in a lethal future Earth ravaged by a mysterious mechanized threat known as Arc. Enlist as a raider and scavenge the surface to thrive in a desolate world. But beware of the machines. Beware of raiders preying on others. Um, and so, as we mentioned briefly, it is it's a PvPvE, which means that you're playing against. It's a multiplayer game, and you're playing against other players. But there's also environmental threats. In this case, it is. I mean, it's all Arc. Yeah, I can't think. I was trying to think if there's anything other than Arc that's a danger to you. No, there really isn't. It's just the
Hmm.
machines.
And gravity, because gravity's a bitch.
Gravity will bite you in the ass every time. Uh, yeah. So, just game lore wise, it's kind of you can kind of envision like Terminator as something to, if you're familiar with Terminator, this is kind of a similar situation. Basically, robots have taken over the everything above ground, and the humans have been pushed down underground where they're just barely surviving and they have to scavenge for materials and things. And that's what you are. You're raiders scavenging for materials to keep the human race alive.
Hmm.
But one thing that's interesting about this game that they do a little bit differently is story wise, essentially, and these are things like that are in the game. You can find these bits of lore within the game if you go searching into the stuff. But it basically was like humans sent. There was a group of humans who left Earth on some sort of exploration mission, and then shortly after that, the Ark came to Earth. So they're not from Earth; they're like from outer space somewhere. And they came down and basically took over everything. And then the humans at some point were able to push the Ark back and like mostly eliminate them, but then they
Hmm.
came back with a second wave, and that's technically time frame wise where we are in this game. We're the second wave of Ark invading the Earth and taking over things. Uh,
I didn't really look a whole lot into the story itself. I was just like, this looks fun. I'll jump into it, and I assume it'll kind of get told as the game goes on, and parts of it do.
mhm,
Um, it is interesting that they're extraterrestrial because a lot of their designs do look like something people would design. So
sure.
that's yeah, which is it's kind of funny because you think of like Terminator and the fact that it's very much very impractical machines that they are being sent to try to destroy humanity, whereas these things from space is like no, just drones make a lot more sense than trying to get something to balance on two legs. So
Right, yeah.
yeah, um but yeah, go on.
Uh, well, the next thing I was going to ask about is just like the world in general, just kind of the ambiance and just this world that they've crafted. Like, just what are your general thoughts on it? Like how does it feel unique? Because this is, obviously something that is fairly common is like a futuristic world that's like everything's destroyed and humanity's just barely hanging on. So, like how do you feel this game does it do that well? Is it too similar to other things?
It's I think the world, like the overworld, especially as it's presented, does feel a little um, stuck, a little standard. But it's the elements within it that really kind of help pull things together, like the weaponry and the equipment that you use. It is very much just cobbled together from scrap that you salvage, scavenge, and manage to bring back with you. The little bits you see of Speranza, the city underneath the surface, it's not the kind of grody underground city from the Matrix that you might expect it, but it actually
Mm,
looks kind of thriving and sort of cyberpunky, and there's androids and things.
yeah.
So there's little environmental nods that okay, yeah, we things had been fairly advanced before we got driven underground, and a lot of people are just kind of reduced to making what are essentially nail guns to shoot at these death machines on the surface, trying to scavenge a few bits of metal and plastic to keep society running underground for a little longer. Um,
Mm.
so altogether, it works. It's not the most distinctive thing I've seen, but it feels believable. If that makes sense.
And that actually was I wrote down the term realistic here,
Hmm.
just as like a talking point because oddly enough, it does kind of feel like that, like like if this was this a situation that actually happened, like it kind of feels like this world is potentially like this could actually happen, to some degree. So that was a term that I wrote down here, and I would agree with you mostly on everything else you said. Like it some of the just the way the game looks and feels, it's a little bit like retro futuristic in some ways. Cyberpunky is also there a little bit. Um, so I enjoy that, but those have kind of been done before also. So I wouldn't say it's like hugely original, but I feel like it is built well. Even if they're not doing things that are necessarily new, they're doing it very well. So,
yeah, it's sort of a why reinvent the wheel if the wheel works perfectly fine.
Right.
So yeah, but I have a feeling they will continue to develop and add more things as because since it is a live service game, they're constantly working on it.
Mm.
I think we will see more development, more of its own identity emerge as the seasons, I guess you'd call them, go on. And as they add more content, because we're already seeing like new developments in the arc themselves. Like I saw a teaser footage of something in an area I haven't unlocked yet that looks pretty damn terrifying. So,
I know what you're talking about, and I ran into one, and it was indeed terrifying. Yes, but yeah, we'll kind of circle back around to that a bit later. Um, let's move on to before we talk about gameplay, I wanted to briefly talk about the music. Because that's something that I've really enjoyed about this game thus far is the soundtrack that they've put together for this.
mm,
Um, and it uh I do feel like it fits kind of like the vibe that I was mentioning before, where it's there's kind of like retro sounds in it, but also is kind of like a techno and synthetic sounds to it. It very much reminds me of like the Tron Legacy soundtrack, or
mhm.
a little bit of like Stranger Things, like dosed in there.
Yeah.
And both those things are some things that I really enjoy listening to. So
Yeah. I'm always happy to hear synth. And it does fit a futuristic, or as you put it, retro futuristic kind of setting. Where yeah, even when you're just going to the launch site for wherever you're heading on the overworld map, it's just, the that is becoming an iconic little musical accompaniment in my head. Like
yeah.
it's just it pumps you up, it gets you ready, and you never quite know what you're going to find on the surface, but it's just it gets the adrenaline going a little bit, and it just gets you primed for the experience up top. And yeah, it does a good job of getting you in a mindset for what the game's all about. Um, and beyond music, though, I think we should talk a little about the sound design just in general. Like
Yeah.
the guns sound good. You hear explosions in the distance. They have bass to them. There's an actual visceral rumble.
Uh,
Um,
yep.
yeah, and the fact that like each of the drones and other types of arc that you run into, they all sound a little different. So you hear rotors, you stop for a second, you're like, okay, how big is that? Is that a wasp? Is it something I can handle? Or is it like the deep, thrumming
Of the
danger sound of the
Rocketeer.
Rocketeer? It's like you hear that, and it's just like your blood goes cold.
It does.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. But even beyond that, like we mentioned there's not a lot in the environment to be afraid of, but the environment does play a role in this. Like if it's raining, good luck hearing footsteps around you.
Mm.
Because it's just, especially if you're wearing headphones, which I would recommend for this game because it's so much more immersive. Yeah, you'll just hear the pattering of raindrops all around you, and depending on where you are, they sound different depending on what they're hitting. And you're like, is that just rain pinging off like the hood of a car, or is that someone trying to sneak up around me? And just, oh, fantastic sound design in this. Just it all comes together and really elevates the experience a lot, I think.
Yeah, I 100% agree. You said all that spot on. The sounds in this game are great. I love all the little bleeps and bloops and chirps that the Ark make. So, some of them are almost like comical in a way that they it almost sounds like they're talking in a way.
Mm, yeah.
Um, like for example, there's the turrets. uh like when they see you, they kind of like make this sound like they're like excited, and then if you hide, they like make this like womp womps kind of sound, like, oh, I can't see him, I'm so sad.
Yeah.
And
Or
yeah,
oh, go ahead.
it's just great, just everything. I love listening to the sounds of this game.
Yeah, and they surprise you sometimes. Like the first time I tried to pry into an arc probe that I found operational on the ground, it went from its normal kind of like pulse, and once it like realized I was trying to pry the casing open, I don't know if it was calling for help or what, but it was making just the weirdest, most alien sounding noises I've ever heard
Mm.
out of something
Hmm.
in this, and it just really freaked me out.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. Yeah, I definitely sound is one of the best things in this game.
Mm.
So, uh, let's move into gameplay a bit now. So, as we said, it's an extraction shooter.
Mhm.
And so if you're not familiar with that, essentially you load into a map, and there are varying starting points around the map, and you go out, and there's a time limit, and what you do with that time limit is pretty much up to you.
Mhm.
Legitimately, if you you go into a map and you're nearby an exit, you could just leave the map within like 2 or 3 minutes if you chose to.
Mhm.
Or you can stick around till there's 5 seconds left, like we did once.
Oh God, that was a fantastic run.
Yeah, which we'll get to that later, I'm sure as well. But um, it, your time in the map is basically up to you, and the goal, generally speaking, is to loot resources. And there's stuff everywhere to find. Um, and I'll talk about that a little bit more here in a moment. But uh, basically, you're going in, finding resources, um, choosing whether or not to interact with other players or Ark, which with you basically everything you can avoid if you choose to. You can just play stealthy and just sneak around and grab stuff and then leave. You can be loud and proud and, and be firing your gun at everything you see that moves. Um, but yeah, the way that you kind of like the game that you create from this is kind of up to you how you want to approach it.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, the loot, I find it really interesting that there's so much loot to be had. Like you can easily fill your backpack within a few minutes of a match. Easily. Like
Yep.
you don't even have to leave your starting area typically, and you can load up completely full and then just escape with your
Mhm.
loot. So, how do you feel about that in general?
It's at first the first few rounds I'm like I have no idea what I need, so I'm just grabbing everything I possibly can because it might be useful, it might not. Either way, I can just if I escape with it, I can figure out what to do with it later.
Mm,
But as you get more of a feel for the world and like the quests that you get sent on, because sometimes it'll be like build a certain thing or find a certain number of this item or kill, a certain number of these arcs or retrieve this or whatever. You start to prioritize. It's like, okay, I probably don't need more chemicals, even though you can use those as part of like making bullets, which you also definitely very much need. But you can also break things down to get chemicals. So if I find those, unless I have nothing in my bag, I'm like, okay, those can wait. And you start to figure out what's priority, what's not, and what's worth risking your life to, try to run back for right away versus, do I want to keep pushing a little further and a little further to try to find something even better. So it's a really kind of a imagine like the loot system from Diablo in a way where you never quite know what's going to drop from anything,
hmm
and except in a more gritty, realistic sort of setting. And that's kind of the feel I get from this. And it's that sense of discovery, never knowing what's in this locker or in this crate that you have to pry open, or if making that noise will attract unwanted attention. It's a very interesting sort of paranoid tightrope that you walk anywhere you go in this, and it's in a way part of the fun. Um, like yeah, there are hundreds of different items to find, but discovering what is actually worth picking up is part of the experience, I think.
Yeah, and they do a really good job of everything has a color coded tier system. So if you're picking up items that have a gray background, that's the lowest level common denominator material.
Mm.
And if you find something that's, for example, a green, then you know that it's worth more, and it likely breaks down into those gray materials. So, like you were saying, you don't need to carry the gray ones because if you're carrying enough green stuff, you're also getting the gray stuff.
Mhm.
Um, and so, yeah, it's eventually you do learn to like what's important, what's not, what you can leave behind. Um, and I do really enjoy the not knowing what you could possibly find, because legitimately, like, anything you search in this game could be just a bunch of terrible materials, or it could be a blueprint for like one of the best guns in the game. That's always a
Hmm.
possibility. It's always when you find something that's a high tier item and you always get that like dopamine hit. That's pretty that's a pretty good feeling. I mean honestly
Yeah.
it's a little bit like gambling, but I mean really
Yeah.
without the risk. Like you're not risking anything. You're just
Right.
you might find something amazing at any moment.
Yeah, this isn't even like Overwatch loot box territory or anything. It's just, oh, you lose a bit of progress and that's it. You're not ponying up actual money to hope you get the thing you're looking for. Though you can buy cosmetics in this, but
Right.
yeah. But yeah, I do like the fact that yeah, you can always just go back for another round and try your luck again.
Yep.
So yeah.
Um, and having said that, uh, just the fact that you can load into a match, um, and I should explain this too for anybody who's not familiar with it. Like because it's an extraction shooter, you essentially are going into the match with whatever equipment you happen to have in your inventory in your stash back at base. So if you have a gun that you had on one match and you extract successfully, you can take that same gun back into the next match. And if you die in that match, everything is gone. And you're
Yep.
back to whatever you happen to have in your loot at base.
Yep.
But they do have a really cool system of a free loadout that you can use to load into the match. So if you have legitimately you have nothing in your stash in your base, um, that you always have the option of having a free loadout, which always has at least a gun and has I think you always get a shield
I think so.
also. That's part of this free loadout. Um, but the downside of the free loadout is you never have a safe pocket, which is like a one item slot in your inventory that even if you die, that will go home with you.
Mhm.
So
With
the
some
free loadout,
restrictions. With some
right?
restrictions, because I found out you can't put guns in that. Because
True.
I found a pretty nice looking shotgun at one point. I'm like, oh man, this is coming home with me. And I like open up my inventory. I try to shove it in the pocket, just X. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And then I got killed
Yeah.
before I could get out, so
Oh.
I never got that shotgun again.
Oh no.
uh,
Yeah. So yeah, it is the fear of losing things, which is one of the the most enjoyable parts of the game, which it's an interesting concept and just thing to talk about is um the fun in the game is always feeling like you're in danger of losing everything you have.
yes.
It in this game, I feel like it does it very well. Like I almost never feel like I'm safe during a match. Like I'm always on high alert, because a player could walk up on you at any moment and they might be friendly or they
Mm.
might try to kill your ass immediately.
Yep.
And even the arc are pretty sneaky. Like sometimes I'll be like doing whatever, and all of a sudden there's like two wasps on me. And I'm like, where did you come from?
Yes.
So yeah, there's always a sense of danger, no matter what you're doing.
Yeah, and it's been a while since I played a game that wasn't like explicitly survival horror that gave me that kind of feeling. Like you expect it from that genre, but for here
Sure.
it's a lot more action oriented, a lot more just frenetic, and I it's an experience I haven't really had from a game in quite a while. So it's
Mhm.
it's it's refreshing from that perspective.
Yeah. So I think that's a good jumping point here. We can talk about just the PvP and PvE aspects of the game. So, like I said, there's a whole lot of arc, which are the mechanical enemies in the game. There's 17 in total that you can
Ooh.
find. And for me, I would say there's a very good variety, and I'll ask you your opinion here in a moment. But
Mhm.
you've got just a quick look here. There's like four or so. They're like flying.
Mhm.
There's a handful of them that are kind of spider looking in varying sizes. There's a few that like roll around these little spheres like BB-8 from Star Wars. And then you've got things like the Queen, which is this
Mm.
massive spider-looking thing, like as big as a house large.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah,
how do you feel just about the arc and like how? well do you enjoy the just the variety and like the difficulty of fighting them?
Oh, they are freaking great. Especially like when you're first figuring out what they can do. I didn't realize the difference between like a Hornet and a Rocketeer at first because I'm like, oh, it's just another drone. I took a shot at it. I regretted that pretty damn quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, despite some similarities in appearance, they are really interesting and varied. Like the first time I ran into a tick, much like in real life, I damn near shat my pants because I could hear this like weird little chirpy noise that I'd never heard before. I'm like, what the hell is that? Is it like a camera looking at me? It's not a turret. So I'm like looking around inside this building, and I turn at the exact moment that this spider thing launches itself off the wall and latches onto my face. And yeah, so there's some really just cool design on these things, and they all look like they could exist in the real world for the most part, except maybe like the Queen, which is gigantic.
Mm.
But yeah, there's I don't know like how much I want to say specifically because there are if we have like a section on memorable moments, there's some that could certainly some of these stories that could fit in there too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do like the arc quite a bit because the first time you run into like a probe, it's like okay, it's not attacking me, but as soon as I get close, is it going to start calling things? There's a little interact symbol with it, so it means I can probably loot it, but is that safe? Kind of a yeah. Every time you run into a new one, it's this guessing game of like, what the hell is this thing going to try to do to me? And
Mm.
I love that. I honestly love the AI enemies in this game.
Yeah, I feel like they're done extremely well. There's been there's lots of games I've played where it feels like the enemies are all kind of the same,
Mhm.
and you just play through the whole game and it's just kind of like the same thing over and over and over. And this game is not like that, despite all the enemies being uh in nature, they're all robots, they're all mechanoid, and it.
Mhm.
But you have flying ones. You've got ones that have guns. You've got guns, some that have rockets. Some are armored. You've got like the ticks that you mentioned, which are like the size of your head,
Yeah.
and you've got other things that's the size of like a car. Um, and on top of that, they feel very intelligent, or at least the more mobile ones, like the Wasp and the Hornet, like
Yeah.
they are very smart. Whatever they did to program the pathing of these enemies in this game, uh, like I, there's been multiple times where I was like in a room and I'm like, okay, I am safe here for the moment, and this little bastard like would fly to a window where it could just like barely see me through a pane of glass and
Mhm.
shoot me through a window. And you think
Yes.
like in the moment you're thinking like, how does it even know to look there to find me? So like it is like you are like I was saying when I was talking about like not feeling safe, like even in a room with like a single window, like
Yeah.
you could still get dead real quick if you're not paying attention.
Mhm.
So I enjoy fighting the arc. Um like even if I don't see another player the whole match, like it just the combat is pretty good in this game.
Yeah, yeah, very much so. And just the way they react to damage, like if you're a really good shot and you know what to aim for, you can like knock them off balance or hit a weak point that takes them down a lot quicker than if you're just firing at their center of mass.
Mhm.
Like the first time I clipped it was either a wasp or a hornet like in one of its rotors and blew it off and it started like just wobbling, wildly, hit a tree and exploded. I'm like, okay, this is that is a really cool element. It's not just it didn't just ping off and immediately start attacking. It's like if you know how to utilize the environment around you, you can use it to your advantage sometimes against these things, and that's fantastic design.
Yeah, the physics of fighting them feels real, which is great.
Hmm.
Yeah. Uh PvP. This has been it this is what's really interesting about the player combat in this game is the fact that they have proximity chat. And
Mhm.
so you can, if you have a microphone attached and activated, you can literally just talk to other players in the game with your voice, not like with through. There are emotes that you can use if you don't want to use your voice,
Mhm.
but the fact that you can just literally talk to other human beings in this game, and then it becomes a, uh, like I mean, to use another game example, like Among Us, like you're always suspecting other players of, well, are they gonna kill me? Are they being serious? Are they trying to trick me? Are they, what is their intention in this moment? And that makes it uh like completely different from fighting the arc, but even more dangerous.
It is. And my personal experience with other players has been anytime they've talked, they've been honest. And
Mm,
there was one guy one of the first interactions that really stands out with me aside from just a don't shoot kind of a thing. I'm just coming around the corner of a building and this guy just races past me, happens to notice me, hits his chat and says, bro, just get the hell out of here. And I'm like, I freeze for a second and he just keeps going. And so I'm like, okay, I duck down an alleyway and like two drones, I think they were Hornets, just like I'm barreling past him and I see him duck into a doorway and they just start like firing in, and I'm like, he actually was trying to help, so I tried to help him, and yeah, he wasn't just like it was a genuine interaction, and we actually finished that match together. It was fun.
mm,
But every time I've been attacked, it's just been without warning. No, and not even anything like clever or just any interaction at all except for bullets. Like, and not even like it's over, Anakin. I have the high ground. As there's like people shooting at me, or from a cliff or anything. It's just they may as well be bots because they just weed in and like open fire, and
sure.
it's been yeah, it's like a for me at least, it's been night and day. If they say something, you can usually feel relatively okay with them.
Mm.
So
I yeah. I I know that it is one of the differences in this game is the whether you're playing on PC or console. Because it
mm,
feels like a lot more people playing on PC tend to have a microphone and are happy to chat and and will mostly work with you. And
mhm.
then then this is something I can't confirm because I don't interrogate people when they shoot at me what they're playing on. But but I know there's been a lot of people talking about how like on console you don't often have a microphone. I mean, you might have a mic on your headset, but people don't
Mhm.
always turn that on. And
That's
so
fair.
people playing on console tend to not try to chat with you and will just shoot first,
Huh.
which is an interesting thought process. But um,
Yeah.
yeah, generally speaking, I would, if I had to put a number on, I would easily say more than half the players I've met have been friendly.
Yeah.
It's definitely more than half. Um, and again, the ones like kind of like you said, the ones that shot at me
Mhm.
didn't really say anything first. They just came in, just we're on a mission to just hunt other players, which is
Yep.
a totally valid way to play.
It is.
You know, so
Yeah, it's and yeah, it is part of the game, and I wouldn't want it cut from the game by any means, but at the same time, when you're just trying to track down, apricots for your chicken or whatever, um, and you like three matches in a row, you just have people, run up behind you and shotgun you in the back of the head, and you lose all of a sudden you've lost like all of your best guns. That kind of sucks, you know.
sure, yep,
Um,
it sure does. Yeah, I well, so that like leads into something I was going to ask later on, and I mean that was a good time to enough time for it, but
hmm,
there's been the streams that I've been watching of this, there's been a lot of talk about people wanting kind of pushing for a PvE only mode within the game. And just curious if you have thoughts on that. So cutting
I
out the player versus player aspect and having some sort of game mode within the game, that was only fighting the arc.
see. I am like wouldn't really want to see it go away. I mean, having the option to just to know that you're safe from other players, there are times where I could see that being a welcome thing to like just log into if you're tired of like losing all your best stuff. Um, it's tricky because when I first started playing for like the first week or so, uh, I'd say like 80% of the interactions I had were positive with other players. It's like
Mhm.
they would either ignore me or they would just say a quick hi or something and just kind of go on their way. We might work together. Over the past week or so, though, the numbers haven't quite flipped, but it's skewed a lot more towards it's about half and half now, the ratio of people who just are looking to kill you versus the ones who might actually, be friendly. And if it keeps drifting in that direction, I could see maybe the need for a PvE mode, simply so that newer players, especially, can maybe actually get some of the stuff they need to actually compete in the PvE mode, PvP
Mm,
mode rather,
yeah.
versus everyone with the best gear just being like, well, let's just go, pwn some noobs. Um, so this is kind of like, analogous to the should Dark Souls have an easy mode question. If you put it in there, sure, you don't have to use it, but the fact that it exists, I could see purists saying it detracts from the spirit of the game. Um, and I could see that being the case here too, where it is supposed to be a dangerous world. The whole premise is, even in the description of the game that you read off, be wary of Ark, be wary of other raiders, or however it was phrased.
Yep.
It's part of how the game's designed. So I could see implementing a PvE mode if they do decide to add one. Maybe make it level limited, like until you're level 10 or something. You can have access to that, and then if you want to keep playing, you need to start swimming in the deep end. And
Yeah.
I think that would be a good compromise.
That's an interesting idea. Yeah, I could see something like that playing out. Um, for me, I think that the PvE aspect of the game on its own is pretty darn good.
Mhm.
Like I think a game that was just that would be still be fun to play. But I think what makes this game great is that you have the PvP aspect that is so uncertain. Like
Yeah.
it's really the unpredictability of it is what makes this game actually great.
Mhm.
And I would be concerned that if they put in a PvE only mode, uh, you would kind of fracture the player base, and you would have um, I don't know. I think like you would not find many friendly players in like the main game per se, like the
Ooh.
original mode. Like they would the really friendly ones just go play PvE, and then if you want to if you want to be somebody who has like the total package
Mhm.
and you load into the original game, you would find a lot more people just gonna kill you.
That's
and
a really good point. Yeah.
and it would make it not fun for that that
Yeah.
aspect.
Yeah. So I think yeah, I hadn't considered the fact that it would sort of sequester players into two different camps entirely, but that's a good point. So honestly, in light of that, I'd say leaving things as they are is probably the best way to go.
Mm.
Because human interaction being what it is, sure, everyone might end up being assholes in the end, but there's a chance at least that a community could build where people do just help out randos because you never know when you might need someone to take some of the heat off of your back, so you can get away too.
Yep.
So yeah, I've certainly had that happen, and I've certainly provided that help. So
Right. Um, that segues well into let's just go into like some Raider stories. Just things that we've experienced within our time within the game, which for me, I actually don't know how many hours I have in right now. I'm gonna say probably about 10 to 12 hours, something like
okay,
that. Maybe a bit more than that. I actually I don't know at this point, but I didn't got bother look. But it's not a huge amount, but considering my the time that I have to play games these days. It's a pretty good amount. Um, and even in those like 12-ish hours, I've already had several interesting and unique experiences. Um,
Mhm.
which again kind of is part of I'm tipping my hand to what I'm gonna say about this game later, but um, the fact that I had all these experiences so far is just such a great experience. But
Mhm.
um yeah, I've had stuff like one of the, one of the earlier games I played in, um, I fell down an elevator shaft like
Oh,
8 or 10 stories or something and died. Um, I had a game where I was trying to extract and I was coming there was already a player like in the elevator about ready to go down. And like I came running, I'm like, hey, I'm friendly, let me in. Hey, can you let me in? And I get almost the door and he shoots me. Like I'm
oh.
being chased by I think it was a hornet or maybe a wasp, and like so it was shooting at me and then he just like hits me like twice and just finishes me off.
Oh.
So but what's cool a mechanic about this game, for those of you listening, is that like you don't die instantly. Like you get into a knocked down state. And you can crawl around and you can still do some interacting with things. And one of those things that you can do is you can still call for the extract elevator if you're knocked down. So, so in that instance, what I did is I was knocked down and the arc don't shoot at you at that point. So I was kind of safe-ish. So I called the elevator. Um, and when the elevator comes back up, because it takes time, it does not an instantaneous kind of thing. Like I crawl in and I'm trying to use the panel to like extract, and I bled out in the elevator with like two or three more seconds, and I would have escaped with all my
Oh.
loot, despite being shot dead essentially. And but even though it sucked in that moment, it was like such a unique, cool ending.
Yeah, I've got a kind of a similar one. The first match I played in the city that's kind of like half buried in sand. It's like that had just opened up, and I'm like, oh, that looks cool. So I queue up for a match there, and I'm going, I'm doing my thing, and I'm like, okay, running low on ammo. I've got a good haul of stuff. I should probably look for a way out. Oh, you can get out by subways here. It's not just like the elevators. Oh, that sounds cool. So I make a beeline for one of those, and it's just like it's like wide open. I'm like, oh, you don't need to like push a button to make the gate slide open or anything. This is great. So I just not even thinking. I just normal speed go running down one side of the broken escalator, and like I always forget just how far underground subways are because I live in a small town and we don't have one here. But I get to like the first landing and like that thought occurs to me, and all of a sudden I hear this like warbly chirp. I'm like, what the hell is that? And on the other side of the dividing line of the escalator, there was one of those the little Roombas with the flamethrower on it, and it
Yeah.
just like wakes up and just blaze into me.
Oh
Um,
no.
so I'm like, oh crap! I'm trying to like get away, and it put the divider between us, and trying to fire with my slow shooting gun. Eventually, I do manage to take it out, but either the explosion when it died or the flames that were still covering me took me down. So I'm like, ah crap! How much? But I can still crawl. So I'm like just dragging myself down the stairs, wondering like how much further I have to go. And as I get to like the actual subway station, someone else must have called the train because there's like lights flashing and it pulls up to the station. I'm like, okay. So I just like drag myself. I've got like a quarter of the timer left before I just bleed out and die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Drag myself on there, and I see in the next train compartment over some guy tapping away at the little thing. The doors close, and I don't say anything. I'm just like, okay, I think I made it, and I see him like back away from the panel and like look over to my compartment. And right before the returning to Speranza thing comes up, I just hear, what the? And then, wow. So I got out, and it was just a
Yeah.
matter of the guy didn't even know I was there.
Right. That's
Uh,
great.
but yeah, yeah, moments like that really do make this game.
Mm. I had one where I was on Blue Gate, the Blue Gate map, and I was I was in like this house, and I was like basically like avoiding the it was a wasp,
Mhm.
or probably was a hornet because I think it was a hornet because it was in the armored ones.
Mhm.
And so I'm like trying to take shots at it, and all of a sudden I like hear a voice behind me. I'm like, what the hell? Like this guy, I don't know if he was already in the house or if he like
Oh.
snuck in after me, but he starts talking to me, and we're like, he's like friendly, and we're chatting back and forth about like what
Mhm.
we're trying to do on the map. And I'm like, I'm just trying to do this quest over here. I don't know where it's at.
Mhm.
Um, and I no kidding, like we were in there talking for like probably 2 minutes,
Huh.
and then he
Nice.
just lays into me with his gun, like out of nowhere.
Oh.
And
Uh,
and I have to believe that he like that was his intention the whole time, was just to like lull me into a sense of like safety, even though he
uh,
didn't really need to. Like he could have
mm.
just taken me out like instantly. Like he didn't even have to say anything. He could have just shot me. But he
Wow.
essentially like befriended me and then shot me. And like again, despite that being like in the end, the situation sucked because I lost all
Mhm.
my stuff. It
Yeah.
was it was so memorable that it like it's a positive experience in the end,
Huh.
you know.
That's fair. Yeah, on the note of really positive ones, also in the city map that's where it's got all the sand and whatnot. I queued up solo. I was just kind of like sneaking my way through looking for stuff, and all of a sudden I hear voices and just a shit ton of gunfire like from the other side of some roofs, and basically people just calling out like where they're being flanked from and whatnot, and. I'm like, should I go and help them? Should I not? And then all of a sudden, I see this other player just like running across another rooftop over it, saying, "I've just seemingly unconnected to them at all, just like, don't worry, I've got your back." And then they just start laying into stuff I can't even see. I hear explosions, and by the time I would have even got close enough to try to help, it seemed like it was over. And the chatter afterwards was just like one of the most uplifting things I've experienced in a
Mm,
multiplayer game. Just like thanks, we really owe you one, and the other person who I think had like an Irish accent. I remember that very strongly. It was just like, don't mention it, kind of a thing, and just apparently it was just people helping people, and
yeah,
that's kind of beautiful.
it's pretty awesome. Yep.
Yeah, and it's just like here I am, I was like, well. I would have helped, but instead I'm just like the thief at the end of Conan the Destroyer is like just stab the thing that's already dead with my knife and act like I did something. uh,
Yeah, I had a game. I managed to play a few rounds this afternoon, or well, this morning,
mhm.
right around noon. Um and the last game that I played, I was kind of it was on a map where the Queen, it was a Queen event map. And so I was
Ooh.
kind of like watching it play out and kind of like deciding, do I want to try and do anything here? Should I just leave? Because I really don't have any equipment to really deal with a queen.
Mhm.
Even if I'm as like part of a team working on it, like I probably still would have just got shot dead. Like as soon as I try to do something. So I'm just kind of like watching it. And this person like walks up and like immediately I could tell like something didn't look right. And so they start talking, and essentially what had happened was they had got knocked down and someone had revived them with a defibrillator,
Hmm.
and the game glitched out for them. And so they
Oh,
couldn't equip their weapon anymore, like they couldn't bring it up to shoot,
oh
and they
no.
couldn't interact with stuff. All they could do was
Ooh.
walk around. And so
Oh jeez.
I'm like, well, let's get you the extract then, buddy. So I like basically escorted him to the exit, and then
Nice.
like had to fight off a few more arc when we got there,
Wow.
and we both got out, and it was
That's
pretty cool experience
wow.
there.
That is awesome. Um, I think we can't leave the section without talking about the one match you and I were in together.
Yes.
That yeah, because that is, I think, still the most epic thing I've experienced in this game.
Yep. I think so.
So, let's see. We were in what was it that city area again, or was it a different one? I think it was the
I
city.
um I it was Blue Gate.
Blue Gate, yes, yeah,
Yeah.
because it was the more open and whatnot.
Yep.
So we thought we were doing a quest and ended up doing something else at one
It was
point.
not the quest we were trying to do.
No, it's like reactivate the comms tower by something or another. So we're like looking around in the area where it's supposed to be, and it's like that building's got an antenna, so maybe it's that. And we go over there and we find like, oh, there's a spot to put a power a fuel cell. So go look for that. And we find one, and we're fighting off Arc the entire, like here and there as they're coming in and investigating what we're doing. And it's like, oh wait, that's not enough. There's two other ones. So back and forth, we are covering each other and trying to get it all open. And it just opened like some sort of safe room or something like that.
Yeah, it
But
was just like a higher level loot room.
holy crap, did it have some nice loot. So yeah, it's like, all right. At that point, I think it was when we were like, we should probably get out of here with this while we
Yeah,
can,
time
because
was running out.
yeah, it was down to like 5 minutes or something. It's like, ah, shit, where's the nearest exit? And it was 300 meters away or something. And like, can we make it? Let's. So we decided to try. The, the fucking place was swarming with Ark when we got
It
there.
really was.
Like literally, like four or five drones. There was one of the big walking spider things that was just clambering
Yep,
through
a
the area.
leaper.
Oh yeah, and it's just like there's no way in hell we're making this work, but we decided to try. It's like so you I think went around one way, I went around the other to try and like divide them, and you managed to get it was one of the exits that's kind of like a flat thing on the ground with hatches that open up. Like
Hmm.
they fold outwards, and yeah, I had never run into one of those before, and that's important for the rest of the story. Um, so I think you got it to where it was like the initiation sequence and
Yeah,
whatnot.
I got knocked down first. The leaper like jumped on me and killed me
Oh,
essentially.
I,
So
I
I'm crawling around on my hands and knees and managed to get to the panel to open the door.
yeah. So there's that, and like you said, the Ark don't really pay attention to you when you're down. So they were all like just either going about their normal patrols or they were after me. So I'm just there trying to plink off, trying to sneak as close as I can, and a wasp noticed me, and I try to plink that down. Then everything else notices me. And by that point, it's like, okay, the little announcement's like, hatch opening or whatever. So I'm like, okay. So I just run as fast as I can, dodging, gunfire left and right. I don't know how the Leaper didn't crush me to death, but
I
somehow
still don't know how you got in there without getting knocked down. That was incredible.
no, it was pure dumb luck. Especially because I get up to the thing as it's opening. I didn't know how these things open. I thought it was going to slide sideways. No, it opens up like up and out like a hatch. And stupid me, having the luck that I do, I run underneath one of the hatches as it's opening. So I'm like, oh crap, there's no way I'm surviving this. But somehow I like roll underneath, and then I see it's not just like a stairs or a ramp. It's like they're stairs, but they're each one is like 3 feet down from the next one, and it's almost like just like slats that you have to try to jump on. And I very nearly just took a tumble like 15 feet down, which would have killed me because I was coming in from the wrong side. And somehow, we both managed to get to crawl our way in there and get out alive in the midst of like I probably only took out two or three of the Ark, and and somehow we survived all of that. That
Yeah,
was
and
go
like
ahead.
because I was knocked down, I was like slowly bleeding out,
Mhm.
and I would estimate that I had like 2 seconds of life left when we escaped the map. Like there was just a sliver of health left, and I wasn't watching the timer because there was so much going on, but there
Same.
had to have been less than 30 seconds left in the match. Like,
That
and when the
sounds
timer
right.
hits zero, you just die no matter
Mhm.
what, no matter what state that you're in, you just die at the end of the timer. So
Yeah. And I was too busy just like somehow dodging despite having almost no stamina left, and then just staggering a little bit to let the bar refill a little, and then dodging again. And yeah, it had to have been like in the last 20 seconds or so of the match that we managed to escape. Just utterly incredible. And I don't think I could have that kind of experience in any other game.
yeah, I it there's a very cinematic quality to a lot of the endings in this game. Whether it's that kind of high level intense action, or whether it's something like the story you said earlier where you like surprise the guy like he didn't know you were there and like he shat his pants
Yeah.
basically.
Uh,
So yeah, I think the crazy way that you kind of craft your own stories as you're playing the game um really makes it quite special.
Yeah.
Um, let's see here. So we've been giving the game a lot of praise here thus far. There are some things that aren't going perfectly well for it so far, and uh, I don't know how much you're aware of some of the issues currently, but like I know that there's a pretty bad desync problem in the game that as far as I know they're working on it. It seems to
Mhm.
have gotten better, but has been a problem for some players.
I think I may have run into that because that's the only thing the only real explanation I have for something that cost me. Well, okay, so in the game, you're given quests as you go, just to give you kind of a little bit of direction for what to look for, what to do. And one of them early on is one of the people down in Speranza is like I've put some modifications on this Pharaoh, which is like a heavy ammo long range rifle.
Uh,
I want you to go out and test it out on some arcs. Let me know how it works. So I'm like, oh sweet, I use the lesser version of this all the time. So yeah, let's see how much better this is. Put it in my loadout, queue up, and I it loads me into the game, and something immediately is very wrong. Like I try to move forward and it goes and then it like rubber bands me back, or it'll like catapult me forward to where I was supposed to be.
mm,
And it's just like, okay, maybe if I stay still for a while, this will fix itself. And nope. The game was literally unplayable. And like even trying to fire it was a coin flip whether or not it would work. So I'm like, ah, shit. I'm nowhere near an extraction point. Even if I was, I don't think I could activate it. Um, I'm going to try to just quit the match and see what happens. Lost everything, including the gun I was supposed to
oh,
be testing out.
oh
So it's
no.
just like through no fault of my own, just because the game glitched out on me, and that kind of sucks when something like
Yeah.
that happens.
Mm. I can't say that I definitely haven't had problems to that degree. I've
Mm.
had a few matches where things were kind of desynced and laggy like that, but it always kind of fixed itself. Um, I think the problem for a lot of players who are complaining about it is that essentially they'll take damage because they think they're behind a wall or like on their own screen they are protected,
Ooh.
but the servers thinks that they're out in the open yet, and so they're getting shot
Oh.
despite on their own screen they're like protected.
Oh, that's worse. Yeah.
Yeah. So, that is one issue that's to my knowledge still in the game at the moment, though
Oof.
it sounds like it's gotten better. Um
Okay.
there also are some some exploits that people are have discovered and are using, including
Mm.
a door glitch where you can essentially push your way through a locked door without the
Ooh.
key if you have some help, like another player like pushing you,
Huh.
because like the way the collisions work, like somehow you can get pushed through a door.
Huh.
And they released a patch and then they said, "Hey, we fixed the door glitch," and it wasn't fixed.
Oh no.
People were still doing it almost immediately. Um, so there's people getting like high tier loot without keys for the locked rooms. So
Oh,
that's a
wow.
problem. There's
Yeah.
also an animation canceling exploit that people are using to so they can like fire their gun like twice as fast as you're
Oh,
meant
geez.
to.
Ooh.
Um, so guns like shotguns, which put out a high damage per shot, they're able to shoot faster because they are pulling the trigger, then essentially equipping a different item, then going back to the gun, and it lets them shoot
Oh.
immediately again
Oh, geez.
without the delay.
Ooh.
Um, so that's a thing that's going on, though I can't say that I've seen that either myself.
Mm-mm.
But it's something I'm aware of.
Okay.
Um, so there are some issues. Um, but
Gotcha.
it sounds like you haven't had a lot of that.
No, no, I certainly haven't discovered any exploits like that. And the only other glitch I can think of is I was running away from one of the drone types, and I like jumped over like a little rock outcropping, and I think I tried to like slide down the back, but it didn't take me out of the slide. animation, so I couldn't like stand up again. I couldn't really like move because it kept trying to like drag me back to where I was still sliding.
Oh,
And yeah, it just had its way with me. So that's the only other glitch I can think of though that I've run into.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I mean, one of the things that to kind of counteract the kind of somewhat slow response to fixing these problems is that Embark, the company who produced Arc Raiders,
Hmm.
actually has a roadmap for the future of the game already. So
Hmm.
at least through the end of this year, I haven't seen anything for their plans for 2026. But I feel like it is very promising that they already have things planned for what they're going to do in the near future. Um, for example, here in November, they've already released a new map.
Hmm.
They've had a community unlock event. So like the community has to work together to earn points to unlock things, which was the new map.
Hmm.
Actually, we had to unlock the map, which happened very quickly because there's so many people loving this game right
I
now.
noticed that. It's like within the span of a day or two, I'm like, oh, well, I wish I contributed more to
Yeah, I
that.
I don't even know that I even contributed anything at all. Maybe like a little bit. Uh, they released a couple new archetypes, including the Shredder, which is the thing you alluded to before.
Yeah.
I was in a match on the new map Stella Montes, and I was going to extract, and the damn Shredder was in the extract zone. I like ran
Oh.
down the stairs and like, all right, I'm getting out of here, and it was like sit. I don't know how actually I got away from it because those things are nasty from what I've seen.
Mhm.
But I immediately ran back up the stairs and out and tried to find another way in. And I actually did escape that map, but
Nice.
that was a like a pants crapping moment there. Um, but like they have plans for December already up here. We have a snowfall map condition coming.
Ooh,
So maps will randomly have snow falling,
okay.
which will change the entire kind of look and feel of a map.
Hmm.
There's something called a Flickering Flames event, which we don't know what that's going to be yet.
Hmm.
Um, and one of the things that's coming out sometime in December is the Expedition system. Are you
Ooh.
familiar with that?
Not really, no.
Okay, so I do know a fair amount about it, and it's essentially a respec. It's like
Ah.
it's a reset of your account. Like you'd lose all your gear, all your levels, everything.
Mhm.
You go back to level one, but they haven't given us details yet on how it functions. But people are speculating that depending on how much loot you have or something about how you've performed to that
Mhm.
point, you can earn bonus skill points to use in your next build.
Ooh.
So it's an incentive for players who have, because there's already lots of players who are already max level.
Yeah.
They're already level 75, despite the game only being out 23 days at this point.
Man.
Um, because people are literally have already played hundreds of hours on this game, which is insane.
Wow. That is.
But yeah, the expedition system is going to essentially be a an optional respec system for you to get bonus points, and they think there's probably going to be maybe like some cosmetics that you can only get by
Okay.
expeditioning, things like that. So all in all, I mean, the future looks pretty good for this game. It
Cool.
seems like they're planning to keep it active, and they're trying it seems to to get on top of fixing the bugs, but we'll
Mhm.
see how well that goes. But
Yeah.
um but looking pretty good, I would say, for the future.
Cool. And I don't think we mentioned th this game I do believe is made in Unreal Engine 5, which is notorious for being buggy and poorly optimized.
Mm,
Considering I've only run into like two instances of any sort of bugs at all, and they were both connection things, I think they deserve a bit of praise for actually using the engine effectively. because I've tried to play other games in this engine, and they usually kind of chug a bit. And I've got a fairly beefy system. But this thing, I loaded it up. And it's like, okay, let me look at the graphical settings. I'm sure I'm going to have to tweak a few things. It defaulted to Epic on everything. I'm like,
Right.
I don't know if I trust that, but let's see how it goes. And it runs okay, it runs fine. So
Yeah.
they work some magic with this engine. So for having as relatively few bugs as they do, that's kind of impressive.
Yeah, I would agree. The game runs very well.
Mhm.
Everything is very smooth. I also play on very high graphical settings and don't see any kind of, you know, frame rate issues or any kind like the world looks beautiful. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and so yeah, they've done well in whatever they've done to program this game.
Hmm.
Um, let's talk about price. So the price it's $40 at launch.
Hmm.
I because I had some gift credits and things, I actually bought it for less than $10, which was amazing for me.
That's a
Uh
steal.
yeah. But how do you feel about the $40 price? When a lot of games these days are doing a free to play model.
Um, Considering just how good this looks and how intelligent the AI seems to be and whatnot, you can tell that a lot of work went into it. Um, I have nothing against free to play, obviously, but I mean, I do feel that they had to charge something for this because just because of the sheer work that had to have gone into it. And I think $40 is very fair considering you've got certain companies, Nintendo, who are trying to push for like 80 or $90 for games that offer a lot less content and a lot less
Mm,
creativity than this. $40 is a very fair price, I think, for the amount of just the quality and the stories that you get out of it, even if those are stories you end up kind of finding yourself along the way. So yeah, I've paid more for games I've enjoyed less, and yeah, so I'm fine with 40.
yeah. Um, I like I agree. Like so many, I mean, the standard is 50 to $60. And for this to be 40, I would have been happy with paying the 40 if I didn't have those credits that I used.
Mhm.
Um, I definitely feel like the enjoyment that I've gotten out of this game already is worth the $40 that I would have spent. It's fair to say that there is a shop, a cosmetic shop within the game that is additional money that you would spend if you choose to buy those. Um, uh, and it's fair to give them credit here then that the original prices on things in the cosmetic shop were kind of akin to what you would pay if you're playing a free to play game where free to play games they survive on the cosmetics that you buy within the game
Mhm.
generally. So their pricing was kind of structured similar to that, where you're paying like $15 for like a cosmetic set with like, a gear and like a little this and that and things that go with it.
Mhm.
Um, and the community said, "Whoa, that's pretty for the game that we're already paying for." And to their credit, they actually lowered prices in the shop by about, I think, it was about 30% ish
Okay.
lower. And even people who bought things before they lower those prices, they actually refunded that amount.
Whoa.
So that's pretty good on them, I would say.
Yeah, yeah,
Certainly didn't
that's
need to do that.
right. That's a gesture you would never see from something like Bethesda or Ubisoft or whatever.
Mm.
So yeah, that is a quite the nod, quite the gesture of goodwill from the developers. That's great, actually.
Yeah, it seems to say a lot about they care about the player base,
Yeah.
which is another another good sign going forward, I believe.
Right, right. Because brief tangent, because this brought to mind another game that I had really liked until they started doing the exact opposite of this. I At some point in the past on the pod, I've mentioned a game called The Bazaar, where it started out. completely free to play. You could buy like cosmetics, you could buy new heroes as they were added to the game, but you could also like earn all of that stuff just from playing. Um, then they decided to release the game on Steam. Suddenly it's $40, and all those heroes and things you could earn just by using the in-game currency. Yeah, you have to pay money for those now.
Mm.
So yeah, I've seen the dark shadow side of this equation too, and it's horrible. So seeing developers who actually care and want to do things the right way is fantastic. So yeah, I do have to give them kudos for that.
Yeah. Uh, One last thing that I want to talk about here, because it has been, I've seen a lot of chatter about people who are very much opposed to it, and other people who are, I mean, I can't say that I've seen people who have been like totally fine with it, but they did use some AI voices in this game, and as I understand it, uh, they paid voice actors to train AI, and then they use those trained AI to make the various voices that you hear in the game. So they did pay actors to do the work, but then a lot of the stuff they actually hear in the game is not a real person saying that. How do you feel
Okay.
about the way they used AI in this game?
Well, that answers a lot of things because I figured it was maybe non-native English speakers who were doing some of the lines because there are occasional deliveries that sound a little off. And I've seen that in other games and whatnot. So knowing that it's AI, that does answer that question. Um, the way I As long as they were paid fairly and they knew what they were getting into, that it wasn't just that they knew that their voices were going to be used for the purposes that they are. Um, I think that's about the most ethical way you can use AI for something like this. And yeah, it's a matter of that way they don't have to record these people saying the name of every single item in your inventory as you're selling it to a merchant or whatever. Because I've seen that they sometimes still comment on like, oh, some rubber scraps or whatever, and it's just like, oh, that is very specific. But yeah, that is a way to kind of streamline that. And as long as the people providing their voices for these AI models were fairly compensated, I don't see an issue with it. It's
Hmm.
not like they're taking samples from freaking Sylvester Stallone or something and being like, oh, okay, he's in the game now, and nothing you can do about it. It's yeah, they paid people for providing a service, so that seems fine.
Yeah, I don't think I have much more to add to that. If it has been something that I knew before buying it, it wouldn't have been something that would have prevented me from buying it, though um I understand the concerns of people who are fearful that AI is going to push voice actors out of a lot of these things in the future. They'll just rely completely on AI to do a lot of this stuff. Yeah, that's definitely something I'm concerned a bit about, myself. But um, I also feel like the way that they handled it here is fair. Like,
Yeah.
you know, so
I do find it a bit ironic that a game that's all about evil alien AIs that have driven people underground is utilizing AI for some of its presentation. Is It's
yeah,
not lost on me.
yeah, that is a funny irony. Uh, okay. Anything else you'd like to talk about before we get into ratings on this?
Um, no, I think we've hit a lot of the highs and lows. So yeah, I think I'm pretty much ready when you are.
Okay. Uh, just to kind of give us a baseline here, I do have scores from Metacritic. Their reviewer scores is at an 86 out of 100, so
Hmm,
pretty good numbers there. User score 8.1 out of 10.
okay.
And where did I see this here? I think on Steam the rating currently is a 9 out of 10.
Wow.
And I don't have that other thing in front of me now, but
Mhm.
another one that was also a very pretty similar number. It seems to be pretty even across the board for most ratings here.
Okay.
Um, as of let's see, this is from already almost a week and a half ago, but
Mhm.
as of a week and a half ago, they had sold 4 million copies
Ooh,
at $40 a pop. So they're doing pretty well there,
nice.
making it you know easily one of the more successful games this year.
Mhm.
So I guess I can go ahead and lead off here. As I said before, we've been giving this game a lot of praise in our discussion here. And this really wasn't, I mean, certainly for me, wasn't much of a, is it good, is it bad? This is basically just talking about a great game for
Mhm.
me. Um, I, very early on when I started watching some people streaming this, having gone in not really knowing exactly what it was, I very quickly knew that I wanted to buy this game. And in the time that I've played with it, I've been very happy with it. I've really enjoyed my time in it. I see myself playing this for quite a while yet because there's a lot to do. There's quests that they give you. There's a bit of storyline to go with it. Uh, and there's I think they're setting up well to be a game that there's always kind of something to grind for. You can always be going for the blueprints, or just getting the best gear you can, or trying to do things like destroying a queen. Eventually I want to be able to do that. And it's going to take a lot of grinding to get there. Uh,
Yeah.
but I mean this game, for something that I wasn't aware of, could be my game of the year. Well, we'll see how that
Hmm.
falls out. But um, as it's not perfect. There's definitely some things I hope they spend time kind of fixing and optimizing. Um, but for me right now, I'm gonna give this an 8.75.
Ooh, nice. Yeah, I am going to echo some of that where until it started blowing up in my Facebook feed, I only barely knew about this game, and then all of a sudden it's everywhere, and everyone seemed to be just completely singing its praises. Um, so yeah, it went from something I had barely, if ever, heard about to something I really greatly enjoy, and I wish I had more time to play. Because I can't play it too late at night because I don't want to wake up my wife with the voice chat and everything, which is totally fair. But yeah, it is a game that when it's good, it is really, really good. It does have times where it can be frustrating. The glitches, sure, but when you're on a streak where every time you just go into a map, someone ambushes you and just decides to, shoot on sight, that can get a little old sometimes. But you never know what you're going to run into when you boot it up. You might have that streak of just terrible luck. And then on the fifth time when you go in, you might just be starting with like the starter pack or whatever you can cobble together with your scraps, and then you find everything you're looking for a quest, and all of a sudden you're rolling again. It's that unpredictability, that uncertainty, that is just there's something special to that. It isn't perfect, but it is a lot of fun, and it is a game that shows me that multiplayer focused stuff can be entertaining because normally I'm very much a single player guy. So for me to actually be playing this as often as I am and to be looking to go back to it, that's pretty high praise. I do think this one is going to be on my short list for Game of the Year as well. Whether or not it wins, you'll have to tune in to the Fondies later on to find out. But so far, based on my experiences, I'm going with 8.5 on this one.
Nice.
It's yeah, and I look forward to seeing what they add to it and how it continues to grow and how the community evolves over time. So
Mhm. Yeah, I feel like it's just overwhelmingly, like I hear very few people saying anything negative about this game right now,
yeah,
other than the the bugs, and
Mhm.
and some people complaining about too many people being kill happy.
Yeah,
But I mean that's part of what the game is. So
yeah.
if you don't enjoy that, go play something else. Like
Right.
this is a game where people are gonna shoot at you. It's no different from Call of Duty or Fortnite in that
hmm
respect.
And yeah,
So,
losing stuff sucks, but eventually you'll find, blueprints for things that you can make that's better than like the starting junk you can equip yourself with from the get-go.
mm,
So,
so yeah. So
yeah,
that's a pretty high score from us here tonight.
yeah,
Um, I yeah, I don't think I have anything else to talk about. So,
yeah.
all right. Well, thank you for listening to this episode of the Fawn Pod. Again, I am Brett here with Justin tonight talking about Arc Raiders, and we will see you all next time.
See you topside.